Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for the post-match pint in association with Purity. If you use the code #VillaView, you'll get 10% off all Purity's beer and Aston Villa goodies. Joined again by Ty Bracey and Neil from the For Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And yep, Villa have pretty much ruined another weekend, Neil. At half-time, everything's second half, albeit we sat back a little bit and invited Palace back into the game. Second half, I'm a bit aghast at what I've seen, really. I can't put my finger on what's gone wrong, but just way too passive. Crystal Palace have had 22 shots, most shots they've had in a game this season. Not really good enough.
Yeah, we'd no midfield from minute 45 onwards. We'd no midfield, none whatsoever. They could just play the ball over us. We didn't track any runs. We were late getting back from midfield. The two goals they got to actually, to win the game were just like, you can talk about bad defending all you want, but the strokes of luck that the Crystal Palace got with those two goals as well obviously didn't help. Eze just completely mishits a shot. Tariq Mitchell just gets in, doesn't have a clue what he's doing, just wants to get something on the ball. Fair play to him for that. Hits him high on the arm, never a handball, goes in the back of the net. And then, Wilfred Zaha pings one in. El Mohammadi at point blank range turns. I had loads of people messaging me saying, "Oh, why does he needs to be braver there and he needs to put his face in front of the ball?" Easier said than done, lads. But it hits off him, goes into the back of the net. But just look, there was a flatness there in that second half, and I think it all came from midfield. That we've been passive in midfield, but this was different level passive in midfield today, and their midfield was no great checks. Jeffrey Schlupp, Eze, they brought off. They had James McCarthy in there as well. They brought him off and brought on James Tompkins and brought out Czech Coate as well. There, we should be able to mix it up with those guys, but we just weren't able to do it in there. And look, as the game went on, Crystal Palace grew into it. We lost 3-2, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah,
full of beans.
Shades of the Burnley game a little bit, albeit I don't think we played anywhere near as well as we did against Burnley, especially in the second half, Ty. But we've gone from a team that when they went ahead, you thought they'd go and win games, very rarely lost a game or even drew a game when we went ahead, to a team that now goes ahead. You ain't got a clue what's going to happen, because today we've been ahead twice. We shouldn't be chucking it away against Crystal Palace, because being kind, they've got a couple of good players, but they're an ordinary side, and some of the midfielders that Neil's just named there, to not be able to deal with that midfield and not get control of that midfield is very, very worrying.
Yeah, it was we welcomed way too much pressure. We went 1-0 up, all good. Then welcomed a lot of pressure again, and then we go up the other end and react. And then as soon as we had nothing in the second half at all. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all.
Ebeli Eze looked world class today. I won't knock him personally. I think he had a great game. He was hungry for the game, hungry to win it for Palace. And you can see in his statistics for them this season that he's found his feet in the Premier League. We're without some key players today. Massive problem. We can see the depth. We're lacking depth in the squad. We need some depth. We need some more quality when our first team players are out. Mings, I can't see. We needed Mings today.
There's no organisation without Mings in there, is there? I thought Hawes would actually be able to deal with Benteke, and largely he probably did deal with him, albeit Benteke obviously climbed above him for that first goal. But I'm not sure there's much you can do when Benteke's in that kind of form, in that kind of mood. But they did feel like there was a complete lack of organisation. You do kind of feel if Mings had been there, we might have got a hold of the game a little bit more. He might have pulled the lads together, because it just felt like we didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and it's a case of, like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't with Tyrone Mings. Like, we've come on here and defended him nearly every single time that the knives have been out for Tyrone Mings. And then it's days like today that, like, I don't particularly think that Courtney Hawes was a fault for any goals or anything like that. And I'm a massive Courtney Hawes fan, and I'm just a small bit. I suppose this is as hot under the collar as I get about Aston Villa. But look, Tyrone Mings is missing today, yet everybody is aghast that, oh, if Mings was in there, we're missing Mings. But yet at the same time, if Mings steps over a ball or tries to play a ball out of defence and it cannons off somebody and we score, everybody wants him dropped. So we got to pick a side of the argument here with regards to players, or else just be of the opinion that, look, mistakes happen. Players make mistakes. They don't do it on purpose. And if they don't do it on purpose, then we deserve to give them another chance. But I 100% agree, Dan. I'm just a bit ranty at the moment, and I 100% agree with what you're saying there, that Mings is like Mings in that back line there does make a huge difference in the stability that having a back four, when you take 50% of your back four out that have been there all season, that the unit doesn't move as well. But that's the last bit of mass of negativity I'm going to have. I'm going to try and keep it positive after that, but just a small bit raw. Sorry, guys.
I wish you all the best. We're trying to find a few positives. I'm looking at the defence tie and I'm thinking, okay, it's not our first choice back four, but it's not them that's inviting the pressure. It's the midfield. Again, we've spoke about the midfield. It feels like the whole of 2021. When your back's up against the wall, you need someone to put their foot on the ball, get control of the game, break the play up a little bit. I think when Petrov used to play in midfield, I thought he used to be excellent at doing that. He'd calm everyone down. He'd put his foot on the ball. If you needed to buy a foul in the middle of the park, he'd just go down and get us a foul. He'd get his body across and win us just a nothing free kick in the middle of the park. But it broke the other team's rhythm up. There's no stability in the centre of midfield, really. There's no strength in there. There's not that ball winner. And Palace, as I say, are an absolute average side. To see them absolutely dominating and basically walking all over our midfield is a big worry. And you look at the bench and, okay, you could have bought Nakamba on maybe. But again, he's a bit of a ball winner, but I'm not convinced he's gonna stem the flow. People are saying about Dean making substitutions. I look at the bench and think, they're in really a lot there to change it, but anything is going to make it a whole lot better. But we need to upgrade midfield in the summer. We need a proper ball-winning midfielder, someone who can keep things simple, win the ball back, a bit of physicality, because it was the same against Burnley. We've come against Palace today. You come up against a physical side, and we can't deal with it.
Yeah, in the first half, I think it was clear we had... McGinn looked great in the first half for me.
I'm not knocking McGinn today. I don't think it's McGinn.
Yeah. He had a good game, but around him, that's where I think we need improvements. Dougie's not doing too great at the minute. He's out of form. Jacob Ramsey, again, young and learning. If we're going to be pushing for them Europa spots, we've got to do more. We need more in the midfield. We need that experience. And as you said, Dan, we need that bit of a dirty midfielder who ain't afraid to get stuck in, just like McGinn. I think we're definitely lacking there. Palace seem to welcome a lot on the right-hand side of our defence with no Matty Cash. And I think Elmo did well in the first half against Zaha. He kept him in his pocket for a fair majority of the first half. It was just the second half we seemed to crumble down that side. Ebeneze's shot on that hit the crossbar. I mean, if that had gone in, I probably would have turned it off, if I'm honest. That's where I would have said curtains. And then with Jack as well, when Jack come on, we do a lot through the left when Jack plays on the left. And I felt like we've been without him for so long now that the players don't really do everything through the left anymore. It was tough for him to get in the game and him to make an impact, which is a shame for him because he's hungry and, he's Villa, he wants it massively for us. So it's just disappointing to lose to Palace. It should be something we're getting 3 points from, man.
I've got to say, I thought it's not from not wanting to go down the left or not remembering how to go from the left now. It comes down to we'd have enough control in the game to be able to give Jack Grealish the ball when he came on. I mean, we're 2-1 up when the lad comes on. So you're thinking, right, come on here, kill him. He was 2-1, wasn't he, when he came on before? I'm like a howler. Yeah, so we're 2-1 up. You bring Grealish on, you think, right, push now. He'll make a difference. Third goal can come through him. If we soak up a bit of pressure, we'll be able to break. But the pressure was just constant from Palace, Neil. And when we did try and get out, we couldn't get out. So you've got Jack Grealish on the pitch, and you can't get the ball to him.
Yeah, Dean Smith substitutions, like as you said, that there are people questioning that, but yet we brought on the best player. The best. No, but what I'm saying is, I would have made that exact same substitution. Every single person, if the stadium was full, we would have all said, you know what, bring on Jack now to control the game. Bring him on, carry the ball.
I've got to say, I'd have had him as a 10. I really like Jacob Ramsey. I think he's going to be a really good player. Yeah. But for me, he's absolutely not a number 10.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I thought that he flagged in this game today. I thought that he did, and I would have. He played the full 90 minutes, but it wasn't.
He came off for Wesley, didn't he? At the end, I think Ramsey
Did
came off. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
We went
Yeah.
a bit Steve Bruce at the end, didn't we?
Yeah,
With all
he
the
did.
strikers on like we did against West Brom.
Forgot Wesley came on. Yeah, I forgot Wesley came on. I think I must.
I don't think he touched the ball. To be fair, now.
I was coming up the stairs to do this. I'd say at that stage, but no, it's yeah. Look, it's just one of these games, whereby if he had gone ultra defensive and like I think the team sets up to go defensive within the same structure that they have and with the players that they have. So like if we bring on even more defensive players, I don't think there was any we could have dropped back any further because we were defending very deep as it was. Bringing on Jack would have helped us to stretch the game, and I understand why he came on to stretch the game, to get a hold of the ball, to get more possession of the ball again, and to try and carry the ball forward to give our backline a break as opposed to just basically lumping it up to Ollie Watkins, which we did do for a good bit of that second half. I think that's why I think that was probably the right substitution to make at the time. We were 2-1 up, try and bring on Jack Grealish to carry the ball more so that we could control it, but it just didn't come that way. Jack got a couple of niggly fouls. When I say a couple, I mean every single time he touched the ball. Joel Ward seemed to boot him, and he got some fouls for it. He didn't get other fouls for it, but it's not an excuse, I suppose, really for the way that we were just kind of carved open at times, when they were kind of transitioning from back to front. But as you said there, where like the substitutions that we were that we could have made, I'm not really sure. Like he's going to be called reactive, I'm sure, Dean Smith, after this.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a few times.
And that's like it's fair to say you can't defend, like you can't say, oh, he's not reactive, because he did react. But if he had to bring on some striking impetus. But I'm sure that had there have been maybe a more defensive substitution he could have made earlier that he was comfortable with, maybe it would have been made. But I don't know. I think we were defending very deep as it was at that stage anyway. So like just bringing someone else in there to sit in deep could have made a massive difference. But I think it's so, as you said, Dan, you got the nail on the head. We need a big destroyer in there in midfield. We just do, to allow our players to go forward and come back, because it's all well and good having box-to-box midfielders within your midfield three, but somebody has to stay at home and mind the house as well, and I'm not quite sure that happened as much today as we had seen it maybe at the start of the season.
Yeah, I just look. I use Leicester as an example yesterday, watching him, and Ndidi is their most important player. I don't care what anyone says. They got some fantastic players. They're a great club. I was really pleased for them yesterday. But you take Ndidi out of that team, and it's not the same side. He does all those things that we've just talked about that we were lacking today. And it's not easy to find a player like that, because they don't grow on trees. That they're not everywhere. Otherwise, everyone would have them. He's been a fantastic signing for them. We need someone like that, because we're a good side on our day. But when the pressure's on us, and when in games like that against what is an average side, as I keep saying, but a physical side, we can't cope. Let's go back. Let's rewind. Let's go to the start of the game. In the first half, Ty, up until we scored, I was like, right, this is interesting, because we're a team that likes to counter-attack. But here, Palace are a defensive side. They're quite happy to keep games tight. That's the way they've been under Hodgson for the last 3-4 years. It'd be interesting to see us dominate possession. And we played some really nice stuff. And I thought we handled that responsibility in the game really, really well. We were creating chances. McGinn scores an excellent goal. It's a great finish from John McGinn wearing the armband today. And you're thinking, right, there's something to work with here, because that first 20, 30 minutes, I thought we were brilliant up until we scored when we went into our shells.
Yeah, you bang on, Dan. We looked great. We come sharp. We come hungry. We come looking for the win. And then Palace straight away, they reacted straight away, and then we reacted again. And then after that was where we seemed to shut off at 2-1. And at 50 minutes, I was like, we need to get Jack on. We need to get Jack on. We need one more here to put this to bed.
Yeah.
But we welcomed the pressure for the entire game, and you could see that the pressure was crumbling us as the vocal leadership of Mings. We were definitely without that today, and I think that's a massive part of how important he is to us. He's the vocal leader on the pitch. It's so frustrating that we've took the lead twice. when we after we took the lead in 2-1, I thought, okay, they've learned that they know now that, you know, we've reacted, we've took the lead. Let's stay in control of the game. They were just a hungrier team, and we crumbled at the pressure. Absolutely crumbled. And I think that has partly to do with we're usually very good at welcoming a lot of pressure. We defend well, we block well, we clear well. And I just didn't think that was there today. I really didn't think that was there today.
You could argue, really, Neil, it hasn't been there the entire second half of the season. When we've been saying for weeks we don't want the season to peter out. It's still been a great season, but it has petered out. There's absolutely no denying that. We're probably not even going to finish top half now, which, to be honest, is a little bit of a disappointment. I wanted a top half finish. In the grand scheme of things, it probably doesn't make a fat lot of difference finishing 11th rather than 9th or 10th, you know, but I wanted to say we're back as a stable top half team, and I probably can't say that now because it's looking unlikely that we're going to do that. I mean, we kept a clean sheet against Everton, you know. So we didn't score in that game, but we kept the clean sheet. Today we scored a couple of goals. We let in 3. We've become a frustrating side now.
Yeah, we have all year come to the pitch of games where we're expected to be beaten in and expected to be underdogs in, and we've never come to the pitch of games with teams that we're expected to beat. You know, you go back to Brighton, both games against Brighton. You know, both games against Burnley. We peppered Burnley's goal with those like 6,000 shots, I think, at a rough estimate we had in that first game. I think
it was 7,000-8,000, if I'm being honest.
Could have been, and El Ghazi had 90% of those. But Crystal Palace, you know, realistic. Crystal Palace first game, yes, we did in the second game. Newcastle first game we did in the second game against Newcastle. So like when we look at it, Sheffield United. Yeah,
exactly. Games you're saying there, second half of the season.
Yeah. And I've kind of stayed away from finding excuses. But I think that the COVID had more of an effect than we probably would believe, but that's not an excuse for today. You go 2-1 up, you should be able to see out a game like that against Crystal Palace, who realistically would have had their flip-flops on and their beach towels out, you know, ready for the...
You definitely shouldn't go and lose the game. You might draw it. You shouldn't go and lose in that manner.
There should be a bit of experience and a bit of game management in the team there to be able to do that, but it just wasn't there. It wasn't, and I'm going to say within the team, because like the players in the field should know that, right, we got to shut up shop here and we got to start doing things a small bit more coherently or even less flamboyantly, or whatever way you want to call it. And I don't think anybody did anything out of the ordinary. As I went through their 2 goals, the two goals that won it, scuff shot from Eze just happens to fall to a guy who just runs at the ball and just wants to get anything on it and hope he doesn't handle it for it to go into the net. And then the other one comes off Ahmed El Mohammadi then, and just completely wrong foots the goalkeeper. So like there was an element of fortuitous nature, should I say, with their goals, but we didn't contribute to it. Like, you know, so like you look at goals, like when I remember when we spoke about Southampton, and Southampton scored worldies. They scored 4 worldies against us when they beat us 4-3, and you're kind of going, wow, like, you know, there's no stopping those goals. We could have stopped every single one of their goals today, and that's kind of the thing that's sticking in my craw, that this has crept into us as the season has gone on, as you said, since the second half of the season. And I just hope that I hope that the changes are afoot, or that, you know, there's something going on there that's going to be able to address this for the coming season.
I don't know whether you just saw that stat that pops up on the screen.
It's too small.
Well, basically, we've 19 points from from winning positions in 2021, and I think it was 0 this season in 2020. You know, when we were ahead, we saw our games, we won games, we got the job done.
Up until the Burnley game, Dan, it was 0.
Yeah,
up until
that was this year, wasn't it? 2021.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that's mad. That is when you think of the first half of the season, that stat is massive, and it tells you a lot. You know, okay, some of the games, Man U, Man City, you go ahead, you end up losing those games. It can happen, albeit last week was probably the most annoyed I think I've ever been at a football match, but we won't go back into that one. But Palace, Burnley, they won't score more than 2 goals in a game very much this season, if at all. Have Palace scored 3 goals in a game this season? They probably have at some stage. But, you know, they're not exactly free scoring, are they? Crystal Palace tie. The goals are bad as well. Second one's a little bit unfortunate. I think Conser and Elmo both kind of Concer's initially covering Elmo. Elmo ends up covering Concer. They've not done a lot wrong there. It's hit Elmo. It's unfortunate. We unfortunately played all our deflection cards in the game against Liverpool. I don't think we've had a lucky goal since that 7-2 win. We used all our cards in one day. But as I said to Neil, just draw the game at that point. Then certainly don't go and lose it.
Yeah, I think they were. I mean, I don't think it mattered what we did. You could see they were hungrier for it. They were hungrier for it.
They could have scored more. They could have scored more.
Absolutely.
In the end, they deserve to win.
Yeah, when they hit the crossbar, that's when I could just see it coming. They knew it was coming as well. The Palace players, they knew it was coming. And seeing that stat on the screen, that the argument that people are having online where they're saying, if at the start of the season someone said to me, would you be happy with 11th or 12th? I would have said absolutely. If we hadn't started off the season the way we did, if we'd started off the season the way we did, and then we fell off in the second half of the season, that's why it's frustrating for people, because they've seen what we were capable of. They were seeing we were capable of, competing with the top guys. And to see that form slip off in the second half of the season, we're at that point where you don't know what Aston Villa are going to show up before a game. And we started bright. I thought it was going to be a winning side today. And we're at that point where we're inconsistent and we don't know what team are going to show up. And that's the most frustrating part. So I can completely empathise with people who are frustrated with us finishing 11th or 12th, wherever we finish. I don't think we're going to finish 10th now. And then we have to listen to Leeds fans for the rest of time saying how they've finished above us in the Prem in their first season back. So I can see where everybody's coming from. It's frustrating. We just need to keep that consistency up. I can take us losing if we've given it everything, but when we've welcomed it and crumbled at it today like we have, it's just not acceptable, in my opinion.
Yeah, today is a very, very bad day at the office, but there's been a few bad days at the office in the second half of the season. It feels like there's been a few recently as well. Let's try and find some crumbs of comfort somewhere now. Let's talk about El Golza, because his record is phenomenal. I think he deserves a massive pat on the back. Another goal for him today, albeit he's counted for absolutely nothing. But his stats from the amount of starts he's had, that's 10 goals in all competitions now. Considering the abuse he was getting at the start of the season, he didn't even really make the bench until Christmas. That guy deserves an awful amount of credit. And to find himself in the provisional Euro squad for Holland as well, fair play to him.
Yeah, and I put up a tweet earlier on. A mate had sent me that El Ghazi has scored more goals.
Yeah, I saw it. Good tweet.
Yeah, he scored more goals than Richarlison, Mount, Rafinha, Werner, should I say, Saka and De Bruyne. And we're not just talking 1 or 2 more goals, we're talking 4 or 5 more goals than those guys in the Premier League this year. So I'm going to put my hands up and say at times I can be very critical of Anwar El Ghazi. But that's like my biggest thing is that I need to recognize that not everybody is guts and glory. I could never score 10 goals in a season ever, even in the lowest grade of Sunday League football. So I'm sure if he was to criticize me, he'd say, yeah, you're only good at kicking people up in the air, you're not good at scoring goals. So horses for courses, I suppose, there, and fair play to him. Provisional squad, as you say, 10 goals this season. We'd be lost without these goals. Like, realistically here,
we've got a lot of points.
Yeah, he's got us a lot of points. Yeah, and Bertrand Traore has as well. Infuriating as they can be on any given day, they've contributed 15, 16 goals between the two of them this season. Last year, I don't think we had. I'd say if you were to put our top 3 together, I don't think we had 16 goals between them. So no. It's in a way that's progress, I think, for these guys. And that is a positive, I think, for the team for sure. It really, really is.
Yeah, it's just this bit in the middle at the moment. You think in the main, the defence has been excellent. We've conceded 3 today, but I'm still coming back to the midfield being the problem. That's where I sit today. I just think that we got no control at any point in the second half, and that is a concern. You could even see Jack. I think it was Louise. I don't want to pick on Louise there, but he gave him a ball. He just gave him absolutely no chance, and I'm not going to repeat what Jack was saying. He's basically saying that pass wasn't very good. And that was the story of the second half. Midfielders not passing the ball correctly.
We haven't figured out what to do with our number 10. Yeah, whatever, and Louise is a different kettle of fish, I think, as well, because I'd like if Louise was 2 inches or 3 inches taller and maybe 2 inches or 3 inches wider, and was a bit more static. It's very rarely I'm going to say I'm going to give out to somebody that for being too mobile. But I think, the positional sense there is kind of drifted a small bit, but we really need to figure out what we're doing with our number 10. We have to. It's pivotal. When Barkley's on the field, we have a 2-man midfield and it's just not good enough. We don't have we don't have enough penetration from Barkley when he's there, and we don't have enough tracking back from him. There's a big gap in their spacing between our midfielders when he's there. When Jacob Ramsey was there today as well, the positional sense wasn't what it should be. And when he picked up balls at the edge of the area, yes, he was there for those, but he just needs a small bit more time. He's a small bit undercooked, I think, at the moment. But not knocking the kid, things are going to look up for him. But today just wasn't one of those days for him. So I think that's really what's happened. When our number 10 was flying it before Christmas, and even when we were playing Jack in there, when El Ghazi first popped onto the scene.
Well, that was the last time we were flying. El Ghazi left. Grealish 10, Traore right. They were both scoring goals on the wing, and Jack was running down. That was the last time we were flying.
And that's what we need to do. We haven't had stability. We haven't had a confident number 10 in there since. And for me, that's what I want to see over the next 2 games is what are we going to do there? Are we going to abandon our 3 in midfield and maybe go to flat 4, which would be criminal, I think, for me. I think you start the season as you mean to go on. You just have to find out how to make it work. But once again, I'm not going to really dig on Dean Smith for this because, you play Barkley in there, you play Ramsey in there. I don't know what other options he really had. And people might say bring on Carney. Yes, maybe bring on Carney. He might be excellent, but I think that'll be more for next season as well. But be interesting to see what that 10 position holds over the summer.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what I think. I'm going to go on a limb and say I think Jack will be playing into 10 if he's with us next season. We'll have a new left winger. Louise and McGinn won't be the midfield partnership. They'll both still be here, but I think there'll be another central midfielder brought in. That competitive. I can't even say it. Competitive. I still can't say it. Midfielder in there next to one of them, and they're not both starting every game. And I think seeing out this season, Ty, next 2 games now, I think you'll see Jack back as a 10. I think that's where he'll be playing. He'll start the next 2. El Ghazi left, Traore right, Louise and McGinn, and we go back to what was working before Christmas.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be a good shout. But touching on what you said about the transfers, do you think that is it fair to? I mean, Trezeguet is obviously out, so we need some depth on the wing. But do you think that Dean brings in a left winger if Jack goes as a 10? Do you think he brings in a left winger when Anwar's doing 10 goals in half a season? I think on the back of the stat that Neil said, I think his goals per 90 is higher than some of the high scorers in the league, which is a crazy stat because he's come in the team at the point where the form started to drop off. I'm in no way saying that he's a part of that. But I mean, he's shown up in a time where we've been very inconsistent. So I think he definitely needs some competition. The wings definitely need some competition. And I think that's where you see the best out of the Villa players is when they have somebody who's hot on their heels fighting for a first team place.
Well, I think that's what you said there is correct. I think El Ghazi may well be starting to start the season at left wing, but I think you'll see a striker come in, and I think you'll see Watkins play a lot of games from the left next season as well. It's about having those options, being flexible, having people to bring on, because we've seen today, people, as I say, are having to go at substitutions. The game's not going your way. I don't see much on that bench that's going to come on and completely change the way that game goes. I really don't think we've got the personnel. I'm not making excuses because we should have enough to beat Crystal Palace, but I'm just saying I don't think any substitution that we would have done today would have particularly made a difference. I don't think we had the right style of play. I don't think we have the right style of midfielder at this club at the moment to stem the flow in a game like that. I just don't think it's there at the moment, whatever Dean does. But I agree, he could have been a bit more proactive with his substitutions in general. But yeah, we'll be bringing in a goal scorer 100%. And as I say, I think you'll see some games with Watkins playing left next season. But that's probably a chat for a transfer special show that we would do.
A 4-hour special with Neil.
Yeah, Neil. I would just let Neil do that on his own, to be honest. No one else really needs to be there for that one. That would just be Neil with his Y Scout database, just running us through. Neil. Yeah, running us through the hottest properties in world football.
Yeah, we'll see.
Should we go? because I think everyone probably just wants to get some of their Sunday back. I don't think anyone wants to talk about us losing
No.
any longer. Thanks to the guys for joining me again. Really, really great. Well, no, it wasn't great to speak to you actually, but thank you for coming on and talking to me. And thanks for everyone for watching and tuning in as well. Thanks as ever to Purity for continuing to sponsor us. Code #VillaView will get you 10% off all their lovely, lovely beers and ales. Well, we will be back as a game on Wednesday, isn't there, Spurs? So, yeah, there'll be a post-match point on Wednesday. Again, may do a preview before, but at the moment, there's so many games, it feels a bit futile doing a preview because it's out of date immediately. But, yeah, make sure you tune in for the post-match point at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, the 19th of May. Try and enjoy the rest of your weekends. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.